So now that we spoke about investing in lands, can you give us your top 3 picks of emerging areas around Mumbai that you believe have high potential for investment?
Honestly, just draw a 3-hour radius around Mumbai. I think the same thing. Beyond that, you should think about where you have a connection to the place, where you know people, where you can establish trust. But there's 2 developments: the Samruddhi Highway on the western side, and look out for that Karjat bridge that's going to connect straight from Chirle to Revas. I think those 2 developments, land around there is huge.
Yeah.
I think you'll have already seen because you'll have so specific in Bombay, you'll have seen how the coastal road is going to change connectivity. How Atal Setu moving out of the city is going to become so much easier. The government has plans to open up waterways. So, those are 2 areas. Okay, to answer your question very specifically, Alibaug, of course, I'm quite biased here, but the data will show you otherwise. It's just beginning. Karjat and Khopoli, these 3 areas would do really, really well. Panvel, again,
It's the
you've
emerging hub right
you've seen
now.
how
Prices are going up.
Prices are going up, but like 10 years ago, Panvel goes down, right?
Yeah.
So imagine having bought plots in Panvel 10 years ago. You'd be sitting with Hiranandani right now and making sales.
We're going to do that hopefully
Exactly.
soon. Okay, you kind of answered the next question I was going to ask about the connectivity. So like in global markets, let's say US and where people take jobs way far because the connectivity is so good, the infrastructure is so good, and now the Atal Setu bridge, like you mentioned, everything is coming up. So do you think like in the coming years, people are actually full-time going to buy homes and live, let's say in Alibaug and Karjat and travel all the way?
It's already happening. One of my wife's like really good friends and her husband, they're my age, early 30s, and they run full-time jobs, really smart. Both of them are really smart people, and very productive, working completely out of Alibaug. It's already happening in very, very niche ways.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think to answer your question, I would say at least 20% of my office comes from Karjat.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's...
So it's so yeah. There's I think there's stories that are unfolding since the beginning of time.
Mumbai in specific, people are okay with traveling. Like apart from Bombay, I've not seen people who are so okay with traveling.
Because you got to pay your bills to survive in this
Yeah.
city. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That
you
is
have no
true.
option.
Yeah. So when you said the COVID wave came, right? So do you think after the pandemic, people have become more open to having like open spaces, houses, and then buying plots and making it to a holiday home so that they can go, or this?
I think it was a trigger point. More people just kind of realized that there's going to be more to life, and that oh shit, suddenly like we can, because no one would have thought
Yeah.
that something like COVID would have happened. I think that definitely triggered something that was always underlying in people, and that does remain. People do have a desire to. It's actually quite funny because you want to get back to the things that you always had. Like you want clean air, you want open spaces and gardens to walk in. You want time with family and friends in a private space. Now, whether that is rented, whether that is owned is secondary. The point is that there's demand for those end experiences. For us, that supports our hypothesis because land, right? Like what we're sitting on is,
Yeah. Exactly.
there were once trees here.
Yeah. It's going back to where we came from.
Yeah, I think that's how we move as humans.
Yeah. So, according to you, like we know you have a bias for Alibaug, but like consumer perspective, where do you think people are more leaning towards now? Let's say Alibaug, Karjat, or I think people are trying to get villas in Goa as well. Like, they have a holiday home.
Goa has
theory
become
going
like
on.
a city. It's crazy, right? I think it's not a second home destination anymore. It's become a primary home. Say you finish this like podcast, and you go home. You're gonna watch TV, talk to your family, talk to your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. If you have kids, put them to bed, go to sleep. I think that how mundane life is in a city is what drives
People
sales for people that can afford it. And I think for us, don't know if I'm rambling, but I think for us, we're not just selling an end-use product, right? We're selling something that doubles up as land is extremely versatile.
Yes.
So there's an investment thesis behind land, there's an end-use thesis behind land, and that really opens up the market for us. And I think people have typically stayed away from land as an asset class because they're scared, and there's very few established players to trust.
Hopefully they'll trust you all now. So
Yeah,
that'll be great.
Yeah, for sure.
So now, like, let's assume it's become like a luxury, right? Earlier the things were, long back we used to have open lands, less buildings and everything. Now that only has turned into luxury.
Yeah.
So it's like owning that is a luxury right now.
Yeah.
So how things like take a turn.
It's like horses, right? Like earlier it was commonplace. Today, only rich people
Can have
own
it's
horses.
like a symbol.
It's a luxury.
Yeah. So the prices of properties have already 4x in the coastal areas now, right? So do you think like Alibaug, Karjat and everything in the coming market, in the coming trends, they're going to go up and up and upwards only? Or do you think
You do real estate in Bombay, right? So over the last 5-10 years, have prices 4x'd, 3x'd, 2x'd. Yeah. Is demand going to stop?
No.
Fundamentally, no.
But do you think it's going to shift to some other, for example, now that Alibaug is at the, let's say, center of attention, do you think once it shifts to Karjat, so that's going to like...
I don't think we're even close to the cusp of where these markets are going to reach. And I mean that for a lot of peripheral pin codes around Mumbai. The future of a lot of these areas is going to be high rises, right? And you'll start seeing that.
Like they'll move towards residential and...
They'll move towards residential.
Yeah.
Eventually that will happen. And the reason that these places are, prices have increased so much is there's 3 things, right? You will see a lot of land physically, but on one side, at least with Alibaug, you've got the coast, so a lot of land gets eaten up with CRZ.
Yeah.
On the other side, you've got a lot of hills and stuff like that, so a lot of that land is designated as forest, which you can't purchase. And then there's a lot of land that's simply locked because of a lack of access. That is massive.
Yeah.
So the actual transactable, saleable, virgin land is not that much. And people typically, they have a certain mindset, they want to be in certain areas. So that's what drives prices, it's supply and demand. You and I can't argue about that. Will it continue? Yes, because that demand for land will become B2B demand, which will turn into demand for apartments, which will turn into demand for commercial spaces and just
it'll become a city in itself again.
The long term of it is, yes, that's what's going to happen.
Thank you for sticking along throughout the video. I hope you learned a lot of new things because we sure did. And if you think some other people would love this video, please share it with them. And before going, again, please subscribe, like, and share our channel as much as possible. Thank you. See you next time with new guests.